I'll as people come in, I'll add them. We'll probably give it like a few minutes, but I've been getting like a lot of the same questions lately, like how do I bid this? Drywall patches, how do I bid them? Or, some funky thing that the customer wants me to add. How do I price it out? And I kind of give you like a formula that like always works, right? That'll kind of be how I start it, and then we'll go into more like in-depth stuff. So, but yeah, man, it's been good. I actually just put out our vlog for PaintCon. I like recorded the entire, experience there, and it was really cool.
Nice.
What an event, man. What an event. Paint Pro was sponsors. We were sponsors actually. Worked out. Do you have like a bunch of content of your guys?
Of them working and stuff?
Yeah.
Not necessarily, no. That's one thing I need to get on,
Yeah. We need to get on that ASAP.
which is videos, pictures, kind of all that.
Everything, dude. I mean, like when it comes to content, it's and not or, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like the more the merrier. Like right now we just launched the ads with like this new company, and he doesn't have enough, and I'm like, I do a lot of content. He's like, we need more.
Yeah. That's one thing I
Facebook.
would
Mhm.
slack with Tritus is getting them new content, but I just got them two new videos, so I try to be consistent, get them a video a week or, how much ever.
Yeah, I have a thing that like if I show up to a job, I have to take videos. Like
Right.
can't leave without getting content. And then I just upload it straight to Dropbox, which what I use, or Company Cam. And then from there, I have editors and stuff.
Nice.
Tyree, what's going on, bro?
How you doing, boss man? What's going on?
Good, man. You've joined before, right? I think you asked a few questions before.
Yeah, yes, sir. So this is my second call.
Nice. And you were part of the business plan one workshop.
Yes, sir. Yep.
You ready for 2026?
We getting there, Baba. Ready to rock and roll.
Cool. All right, I'll start. So, when it comes to, I won't go into like every nuance thing about estimating, but here is a constant theme I hear all the time, right? Like the one-off stuff, or like, generally speaking, how do I come up with an idea on how to price something? I'm gonna give you the foolproof method that I use all the freaking time, and there's only one variable, and that's or two variables really, and that is what your hourly amount is. So I'll write it out. Hourly amount, or you know what? Let me do this on a document. We got people coming in. Okay, so doc. Cool. I can type. All right. So estimating quick and dirty, right? So all the time, hey, is a change order. I got this weird thing. How do I estimate it? There are two variables when it comes to giving a price. Okay. It is going to be your hourly amount that you charge somebody per hour, right? Because the best companies, the most scalable companies, always have an hourly amount that they charge. All right. So there's a franchise out there. You guys heard of that one painter? Okay. Well, it's a new franchise. And they have a model that basically says they are able to pay their guys, right? And I'll just kind of freehand this 300 a day per painter per 8 hours, right? And I only know that because I have the inside scoop, right? And this. And how are they able to do that? Well, it's because they have a dialed in hourly rate. Because if their cost, right, their labor cost per hour is, let's do that math real quick, 300 a day divided by 8, 37.50 per hour. That's pretty good. Any painter will take that, right? So what they're doing is they're calling up like painters that are struggling, that don't have the best marketing, or maybe in the area, and they're basically trying to like persuade them to join the dark side. They're like, "Hey Matt, I know you're out there trying to grow your painting business, but we're offering 37.50 an hour. All you have to do is show up and paint." right? That's a good offer. And what they do is on the back end, they have an hourly amount that allows them to be profitable, right? So if you're doing 37.50, you have to make sure you're making margin on top of that. So they're probably within 85 to 95 an hour range, right? So let's call it 90. 90 an hour. That is what like a pretty high-end company will charge per hour. Usually the guys that aren't like biggest or have the most processes or are just starting, don't have much reputation or brand, they start at like 65 an hour. Higher end companies are between 90 to 120 an hour. I've seen guys be at 120 and they're just like, we get that all day. But it's because they have the reputation, the brand, the sales system. They've grown that, marketing that. They're just able to win customers in higher end areas. So if they do 90 minus 37.50 an hour, which is very possible, they're making 52.50 an hour, right? So their profit 52.50 an hour. And with materials and whatnot, I don't have like the whole math, but roughly they should be making between 40 to 45% margin, which is scalable. Not the best margins in the world, but it's a way for you to consistently get jobs, consistently pay, quality top guys and scale, right? And they go from there. And as you know, franchises are able to, because they do such bulk work and they're able to come onto the scene and flood it with marketing and, able to take on bigger jobs because they have a bigger budget initially, they're able to get by with that. Does that make sense? Does all this make sense? Cool. So if I know I can have this constant now with 90 an hour and somebody says, hey, I got 5 drywall patches, right? Let's just say 1 by 1 foot, 1 foot by 1 foot. Just throwing it out there. How long would one drywall patch take? 1 by 1.
At least an hour.
2 hours, right? Hour, 2 hours. Okay. So cool. Let's just say 2 hours, right? Give us ourselves a little bit of wiggle room. So that is let's just call that prep, right? Because that's technically what it is. It's additional prep. So our variable is how many hours it's going to take. And then we have our consistent or constant now, which is the 90 an hour, right? So it'd be times really. So what's our price? Pretty easy math, right?
Was that 180?
$180. Okay. So now we take that formula and then on the back end, we add our materials plus materials. Probably going to be what? Like for one patch, let's just call it $50, 50% markup on whatever we buy. And that's your price. So it's a simple formula, $230. I will charge that client for that one drywall patch. And then if I know it's 230 for one, 230 times 5, 1150. I can come up with an extremely accurate price, not think twice about it. Easy, right? And you can do that with literally anything. All you have to do is bring it down to the smallest component and then extrapolate it from there. So if somebody says, like, I have so many variations of this that I run down, and it always comes back to this same formula and same calculation. It is how long does it take? That's the only variable. Like, how long are you guys going to take to do it? If you're already there, it's going to take a little less because you're not have to set up and stuff like that. But if you have to go there, drive time, you got to factor all that in. So now we can take whatever. We can take a bedroom, right? If we didn't have our production rates all, done. And we know it's going to be 2 guys for 8 hours a day. So that'd be 16 hours. If I charge 90 an hour plus 16 hours, what's that? Not that good at math. 90 times 16, 1,040, 1,440 plus our materials. We know roughly it's probably going to take like 3.5 gallons for that room times, let's just say 75 a gallon. 262 is our material cost. Gave us a little bit more wiggle room to have that soft supplies in there. And then that's our actual price to the customer. 1702.5. Now, when you obviously, Matt, we're gonna get with you have production rates and it's gonna be plug and play, right? But like when it comes to prep and weird things that you're kind of like, how do I even charge for this? Or like maybe there's an ornate door, like a big ass door, right? And you're like, damn, this isn't a regular door. I only have like regular doors in my production rates, but I know roughly it's gonna take about 4 hours for our guys. So you can just plug and play this formula. And maybe your 90 is 75, right? Because you're just trying to prove the concept and you know you have to be aggressive. Or maybe you're already paying your painters close to this much, right? In California, that's the case. That you have to charge 90 an hour to make any decent profit. So one of the exercises we go to figure out what your hourly rate is figuring out what is your all-in cost for your painters. So, Tyree, if you don't mind, can we kind of go through that exercise with you?
Yes, sir. That's fine.
Okay, how many painters do you have?
We got about 15 crews.
15 crews. Holy shit. All right. Let's take one crew.
Uh,
Um,
so my main crew,
yeah.
they have about 6 people.
Okay. So let's go down. Do you pay them hourly or subs?
Subs,
Okay. No W-2 guys whatsoever.
no, sir.
All right, Matt. Well, you got W-2 guys, right?
Yeah, so I got four painters. Three of them are at 30 an hour, and then one's at 25.
30 times 3. One's at 25. And the only reason I can't really do it with you, Tyree, is just because of the sub. But you will have to figure out what their
We
daily
use
rate is.
yeah, we use hourly rates for our stuff too. So we use the
Okay.
estimate system, and I have their rates and our production rates too as well.
Beautiful. Awesome. Yeah. So, with that being said, a lot of times if I'm just going off like roughly speaking, because even though it's production rates, there are like weird jobs where you just have to kind of, all right, at least if they make X amount, like we're good payout wise. And I know my guys, if they make 625, we're good. And that's three guys. So basically divided by 24 an hour or 24 hours, 26 an hour would be like my cost. But anyway, so you're on W-2, right? So there's payroll and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So basically, we take all your painters, 30 times 30, or plus 30, I'm sorry, 30 plus 30, and we find the average, plus 25. And we know we pay collectively 115 per hour for four painters. And we just divide that by how many there are, take the average. 28.75 is your hourly cost rate, right? Was that 28.75? But because there's burden, workers' comp, fees and whatnot, we would basically have to add an extra 15 to 20%. Let's just call it 15%. So this would be your hourly rate. So times 15% for your burden, you'd be at $33 an hour. You're not too far from that one painter, if you think about it. So you are forced, in order to make a decent profit, you can need to be in the like say $80 an hour range, 75 to 80. You kind of get how I did that?
Yeah, yeah, I understand that.
And then if we know, roughly speaking, your material is going to be around 15%, I would think that you would be like in the 40 to 5% range. So let's just do that real quick. So if this is my math, hourly, 33 an hour. Charge to make 50% per hour. So if my cost of labor is 33 an hour, my material costs 15%, where would I have to charge to be about 50% profit margin? 94 an hour to make 50%. So you'd have to be at, yeah, 94 an hour. So obviously we'll double check that and we'll run it through drip jobs and all that. But like that's the idea, you know? So
Mhm.
when guys come in and they think like, yeah, I don't even know my hourly rate, it's hurting them because when they're bidding things, they're kind of like guessing, right? There is no constant. So with this, at least you can look at anything that comes to a paint project, prep especially, right? Like we use something called the wingspan method. If there's an exterior and it has a lot of scraping needed and spot priming and sanding, we know we could do one wingspan worth of scraping, sanding, and priming in about 30 minutes. So like this much, right? Scrape, sand, prime, 30 minutes done. So I'll go around the house and I'll say, okay, there's about 9 areas the size of my wingspan, right? Just to kind of like spell it out for you guys. So what does that formula look like? 9 times zero point 0.5 in production rate terms, which is basically 50% of an hour, we'll just call it 30 minutes, right? Equals what? 9 times zero point 0.5, 4.5 hours. What's that? Times 90 an hour equals $405 plus materials. Just say you have to buy a gallon of oil primer, right? So you're looking at like just call it $50. 450, 455. That quick, off the cuff, we figured out a price. Didn't have to think about it. But it's because we bring it down to the smallest component. Sometimes I tell my clients, I say, I'm a professional estimator. I'll get you a price. I ain't even got to think about it. So we do a lot, and I'll even run you through one of the jobs we just quoted that hopefully we get. We'll see. But she wanted 17, I think around 14 to 17 accent walls done. So how I went about quoting this is a little bit untraditional because every wall had a different color. So if I did production rates, you'd kind of like generally speaking have pricing, but my paint wouldn't be accounted for because production rates assumes that like the paint's going to like pretty much spread through the whole project. That makes sense. So for this one, I basically said, all right, we're just going per wall. So I said, all right, this wall is going to take us about 3 hours. This wall is going to take us about 3 hours. Little bathroom, 2 hours, 3 hours. And I added them all up. 4 hours, a little bit bigger of a wall. And then I went for all the different paint gallons and I charged 75 a gallon. That includes all my soft supplies as well. So I said 8 gallons of paint, right? I think it was more like 14. 14 gallons of paint times 75. That's my paint cost. I know I take collectively, let's just say it ended up being 36 hours in accent walls times I charge 80 an hour times 80. Boom. And I gave myself a little bit of wiggle room. So I went to 40 hours because it's a lot of changing paints times 80 plus my paint cost, 42.50. And that's the exact bid I sent her. So production rates, I would have been way lower because I'm just doing it off the wall square footage. It doesn't take into consideration that each individual one has its like basically own color. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
Sweet. And I want to actually show you the bid just so you guys can like visualize it. So here's the bid right here. So interior painting accent walls. I basically went down and took my time in saying, okay, this is how many gallons needed for which color, right? Beach comber, perfect grage, all that kind of stuff. And I said 12 total gallons, 13 accent walls, came out to 42.50. But I was so confident in this price, and I'm so confident that it really is going to take that many hours because how can I be that off when I literally went down to the smallest component and assigned an hourly rate to each one or an hour amount to each one? And then I did some other custom stuff, but I won't get into that right now. So, given this like formula, do you guys think that if anything popped up, you can pretty much grab a price for it? Generally speaking, obviously, if it's like a full house repaint, it's hard to say like, oh, this is this many hours. That's why you have the production rate set up.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too as well, especially just on the accent walls always get overlooked sometimes by our sales guy.
Yeah,
He tends to forget that's extra work, you know. So and some
100%.
it's not a lot of work, but it's still extra prep time that we're losing out on when the guys are having to paint. So I have to constantly remind him on those accent walls.
Totally. What CRM do you use?
We use PEP as our estimating system, and we use Service Titan for our CRM.
Beautiful. Yeah, so when it comes to that, I mean, he just has to throw in a few hours for it, right? I mean,
Yeah,
and a gallon of paint technically, right? So what I like to do sometimes is I will use my paint as like an hour. So like I'll say, all right, 2 hours for the, you know, wall, and then just throw in an extra hour to cover my paint
yeah,
supplies.
yeah. We typically do up to three colors. After that, it's $100 per color because like it just takes more time, you
Right.
know, more work in there. But if you get one color, it's a lot easier than when you get four or five. So
I agree. Yeah, so I mean, you got to think like drywall patches, right? If they're stained work, right? Generally speaking, all right, I have to sand it down. I have to probably fill some of the nail holes, right, with like wood filler or something like that. I don't know what your exact process is, but like you can say generally, if I took like a bedroom, all right, this is probably going to be 3 extra hours of prep work plus a little bit of oil primer and sand. Let's just call it 4 hours. Boom, right there. I don't have to think about it. I don't got to finesse around with like three coats and production rates and what do I charge for stained work. Just add the hourly amount on the back end, and you're pretty much doing the same thing. Also, people, which you got a question?
yeah, how do you sometimes we get people who want like a quick estimate over the phone.
Yeah.
Do you have like a formula for your regular square footage painted out, like
Yes.
a numeric one? Because I've been tinkering with some, trying to figure that thing out. We have a couple, but those ones we never seem to win as much because people are just kicking tires a lot of times. But I
Yes.
still want to give them a competitive offer. But it's just trying to figure out what does that look like when you can't see the place and they don't want you in their house because they don't want to be sold.
Yeah. No, no, no. Great question. And it's a great segue because that's a big part of this too. Like, um, it is good to have close to your production rate pricing just off the cuff, right? So for me, that's 450 for interiors, between 4 and 450. So that just kind of is reverse engineering. All right, I know when I go into interiors, I'm generally around, even with my production rates, let's just say 1900 square foot floor plan. If it's not the craziest house and it's pretty simple, if I just go 4.5, I will be within 10% of this with my production rates. The production rates helps me know I'm 100% on track for my pricing and that if there's any variables, my guys can catch it and we can kind of add for that. But generally speaking, I can go down to 4 when it's like simple and maybe competitive and I have to lock it in. So I like to give them a range, right? So never say what it'll be over the phone because you're only selling on price. You don't want to do that. You have to say, hey, it could vary, right? Every house is different. There's different, like you might not need certain things like ceilings and stuff. So if you were like off the cuff, 1900 square foot house, you would say it'd be between 7,500 and 8,500, right? That's kind of how you'd go about that conversation. But we have a good, better, best package system. So, I mean, if you add on Emerald paint, adds 2 years of warranty, now you're looking at like 475, right, per square foot. And then our exteriors are between 250 and $3. So anytime somebody's looking for a quick, bid, I just go 2.5 times 1900 between 4750 and 6K, right? Keep it easy for them.
Yeah, I like that. And, and it gives your time back too. You're not trying to go to trying to build something, go on Zillow, look at pictures and get out in your mind. It's like a quick and dirty. Once you get that square footage,
Yep.
this gives and then and the range kind of saves you too a little bit. So you give them a little low ball, but it also give you room when you actually see it in person. They
hmm
kind of up and they're not surprised by it. So I like
We
that.
do we do a lot of virtual bids too. Like somebody will call in, especially in Florida, there's a lot of people moving here. They'll say, hey, I haven't closed on the house yet, but I am trying to get a price. I can't get in there, but we're looking to do the full interior or maybe walls only. So for us, our walls only price 225. That we land all day. That's like very common. If they want to add baseboards, 50 cents. If they want to do ceilings, a dollar more. But I can pretty much, I don't even have to do it production rates. I can pretty much go line item, boom, boom, boom. Go ahead. Oh, you said okay. Thumbs up. Okay. But I'll write that out for you just so you can even, if you wanted to take it down for your notes. 4 in 450 exterior, interior. I'm sorry, backwards. I'd be a happy man if I got that for outside.
I think we all would be.
And then exterior, looking at between, what did I say, 250 and 3? Yeah.
And to be clear, Aiden, that price includes material too, correct? So
Correct. Yep.
clear. Perfect. Just want to make sure.
And if you wanted to upgrade paints to 475, if you wanted to downgrade, you can do 375, but that's like bare minimum. Bare, yeah, minimum.
Yeah, I think that keeps you competitive.
I can even show you right now a job that we have going on and see where I priced it at because we're doing a full interior right now.
Because sometimes what I do is when I have some time is I go through the production rates and kind of do my own thing, and then I'll just do something like that. And I say, okay, I'm pretty close because I know
hmm
the square footage is going to be the most competitive number with other bidders, as opposed to my regular bid when I'm going through all of my production rates and getting that. I tend to be a little bit higher, but when I go to square footage, I'm always in the consideration of in the middle or of other people's bids for
Yeah.
quotes.
Yeah. Um, so this bid, we got it for 59.50 and it was full interior. So this is what a bid would look like, production rates for anybody interested. Um, bedroom one, bedroom two, what exactly we're doing. The reason we do it like this is because like chair rail. You can't really foresee that if it's just flat rate productions, or I'm sorry, square footage. So this is our way to customize the bid. And if they didn't want to do the doors throughout the house, I just leave the doors unchecked, right? But every house is going to be, its own setup. So I can go room to room. And if they want to do the master bathroom, we can leave that out. So we got them at 59.50 and there's a little bit of prep, oil prime, but it was big enough to where it was only little stuff. So boom, 59.50 is what we landed them at. And then we're looking at 1389 the square footage. So boom, between 4 and 450, like on the money. So when you have it set up, dialed, and you work with our team to do that, hell yeah. So awesome. And it is a way for you to say, like, save you some time. If you know they want the entire house done, they're like, look, we need it all done. That's the scope of work. You can literally just do times 450 and you're going to be within 10%. You could save yourself all that time. Yeah. And then if she was like, oh, I actually have a drywall patch I need done, right? Or two or three, all you have to do is go to this formula. It's bulletproof. There's no blind spots. And it's actually, as long as your sales rep or whoever's estimating is pretty locked in with like how long things take, which takes time, obviously, it's a scalable formula also. So that's kind of what I got for this presentation. And we'll leave the floor open if you guys want to ask questions or work through some of your bids or anything like that.